Welcome everybody to the Indiana Basketball Postgame Show, brought to you by by Betting.net, which always powers the grueling truth. Betting.net is your best bet for finding the online casino or sportsbook that's right for you. Make sure you check them out now at Betting.net. I am your co-host for Indiana basketball, Mike Goodpaster, and of course, my other co-host is always number 34, 1981 national champion. Big Ten champion 1980, 1981, NIT champion in 1979, and a member of the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame, Steve Risley. How you doing, Steve?
Hey, doing great, Mike. How you doing this fine Sunday morning?
Oh, I am doing great since Indiana beat Purdue at Mackey, which is the first time since 2013. It had been seven games since Indiana had beaten Purdue. And the thing that was great about this is we have complained incessantly over the last few weeks how this was turning into a one-man show. Trayce Jackson-Davis didn't do a whole lot the first 30 minutes last night, but everybody else did, especially Jalen Hood-Schifino, Trey Galloway, and Miller Kopp.
Well, yes and no. I thought while Trayce didn't score any points until 11 minutes to go in the game, I think that he provided a significant amount of leadership. His demeanor and presence did not fall off. He busted his ass defensively. Why they had him guarding Edey is beyond me. I mean, you're going to do nothing but get him into foul trouble by doing that. You got Race Thompson there who can bang him.
Yeah, but Race and everybody that guarded him had 4 fouls by 7 minutes left in the game.
Yeah, I know, but Trayce Jackson's the one player you don't want to get 4 fouls. And it didn't bear out. And the 10 points that TJ scored were significant points. Because they really started a rally in the last 11 minutes of the game that sealed the game. And when he came to life scoring, it's like that team broke out. So I thought the team did everything that I've harped on, and you followed suit with too, and harped on. It came to fruition yesterday. We relied on a 3-pointer to carry us, and well,
dude, they were taking what was given to them by Purdue, because
and
Purdue led by
them, and they shot 15 3-pointers, which, as far as I know, that's a high for as long as I can remember this season. I'm sure there's a game you can point out where they shot more. But I think they went 7 or 8 for 7 for 15, I believe, where they were just barely.
Yeah, luckily they're not Purdue and shoot 23, because Purdue only made 5.
Yeah, well, so. But that's a tribute to Indiana's stifling perimeter defense. They got out and played, and I'm gonna tell you, we'll talk and break the game down statistically, but in the end, Mike, to me, this is just, and Knight would say this in our locker room, this is just a game that Indiana wanted worse than Purdue did. And it showed on the court, because while we didn't lead until late in the second half to where we actually got the lead of the ball game, I thought we never let ourselves get out of the ball game, and always were at least as scrappy as Purdue were. And I thought there were more times on the court that Purdue looked disoriented than Indiana looked disoriented. You got to give kudos to Schifino for stepping up and taking over the scoring responsibility. Kopp and Galloway, definitely, I think, with 16 and 13 points apiece. Crucial 3-pointers out of both of them. I'm a little concerned that again, while I think we had 7 or 8 players get some minutes, we only had 6 players to score. I don't like that going into the tournament. That's been a moniker for this basketball team, and I think it's something they're going to have to really think about going into tournament play. And that was proven today by Schifino stepping up when TJ just couldn't get on track in the first half. But to dump in 11 points or 10 points in the last 11 minutes of ball game still shows that I think Trayce Jackson just looks tired. That young man's carried the weight of this.
I think this, Steve. I think the difference in the game wasn't about who wanted the most, who wanted anything the most. I think it was about Mike Woodson completely out-coaching Matt Painter, because I think what we saw is this. The first time Indiana beat Purdue, they basically let Eddie get his. They let Eddie get his again, but they shut everybody else down. Like you said, they defended the perimeter really well. And on the other end, I don't think this was about Trayce being tired. I think that Coach Woodson coached this game the way he did to make this turn into our 4 guys are better than your 4 guys. We're going to let Zach Edey go off, but our 4 are going to kick your 4's ass, because when you look at it, Purdue's backcourt, freshman guards, Hood Schifino, as TJ Rich says, I guess we were wrong about Jalen. It's not that we were wrong about Jalen. It's the fact that Jalen in this game, I think, controlled the tempo. He didn't look selfish. I mean, there's a couple times where he took shots where you question it, but that's going to happen. It used to happen with Isaiah. It happens with any great player. They're going to take a few more shots maybe than they should, because they think they can do things that sometimes they can't. But I think when Hood Schifino hits, Miller Kopp on the baseline and he's open, he gets the ball on the wing to Miller Kopp when he's open. That's part of the offense. The offense didn't change. What changed was this. Purdue, instead of just having Edey guard Jackson or one of their other big guys guard Jackson, they had, they were slumping. They had 2 guys collapsing on him. They overplayed him. And if you noticed, especially in the first 30 minutes of the game, IU's offense didn't run through him like it usually did. It ran through Hood Schifino controlling it. They moved the ball around the perimeter better than I've seen them do it all year. And this was the best performance I've seen by an Indiana team since probably 2016. It wouldn't take.
Let me digest everything you said, because you made a lot of sense, and there are a couple points I don't really necessarily negatively agree with you on. I disagree with you, but in a positive way. I think the players won this game, not the coaches. I don't think Mike Woodson showed me anything that looked like he outcoached. I don't think either coach.
Dude, I'll tell you what. I could give this to Mike Woodson.
I'm talking, Mike. Mike, I'm talking.
But when you're going to rip Mike Woodson, it's fucking bullshit.
I didn't. I said I was not.
No,
I was disagreeing with you not in a negative way. I said you said a lot of positive things, all of which I agree with.
Coaching was the difference.
All I'm saying is I don't think coaching necessarily won this game. Okay. I thought that Indiana, the players just wanted it worse, and they went out and made it happen. To talk about Schifino, every magnificent thing he did, he controlled the ball 95% of the time, basically. He brought the ball down court. He shot when he wanted to shoot. He didn't pass when he didn't want to pass. It worked. It worked to a charm, this game. That's great. And we caught Trace in a situation where he was just not scoring. And that's the first time this year we can say that about Trace. That he hasn't.
How many shots did he take, Steve?
I have to pull up. I can tell you here real quick. You probably already have it in front of you.
Actually, I don't.
Trace Jackson was 4 for 8 from 2-point field goals. Did not take it in 2 for 2 from the free throw. So he took.
So you don't think from watching the first 30 minutes of that game that they went out of their way to get other people involved more than they normally do?
I think Purdue went out of the way to shut Trace down.
Yeah, which played into what Indiana
and
needed to do to win the game.
I'm not knocking what they did. Please don't take it wrong. I'm just
saying. I'm going to take it wrong when you said it was the players that decided, because I'm telling you, the out-of-bounds plays that Woodson ran compared to Painter.
That I thought in the course of the game, I didn't say, aha moment, Mike Woodson scored one over Matt Painter.
I did repeatedly in the second half on the out-of-bounds
plays. I'm friends with both guys. I know both guys. I think they both did a good job. They had their teams prepared. I thought Indiana's players were more prepared than Purdue's players were. That falls on coaching and preparation for the week, no doubt. I didn't see any game movements where either coach made a move that cost Purdue the game or that won the game for Indiana. I saw Schifino go apeshit bananas and rip off 35 points, and I saw Galloway and Kopp finally have the ball.
I will bring this up. Schifino scored 26 in the first half. He only scored 9 in the second half. Indiana's offense was better in the second half.
And he scored nothing.
He scored 10 in the second half.
Well, he scored nothing in the first half. Trace had 0 points.
Yeah, because Hood Schifino had 26 of their 33 points.
I think it was a good win. And yeah, TJ, I agree. Mike Woodson outcoached. It's always easy to say somebody outcoached somebody when you win the game.
Now, I gave you reasons why he outcoached him, and you just fucking ignore him, as you always do, because you have your own opinion.
I think it all factored in, and it was a perfect storm for Indiana. A lot of great things happened, but Indiana has come close to perfect storms all season long. They have played good basketball in the second half of the Big Ten. They have played the best basketball in the Big Ten, I believe, in the second half of the Big Ten. They lost to Michigan State, but, that's an emotional game. We can talk about that one all along, and they came right back when they could have folded, and they didn't fold. They went to West Lafayette, something I never did in 4 years as a player, and that includes an NIT, 2 Big Tens, and an NCAA. We never won at Mackey. And this team went in and didn't win at Mackey. They dominated at Mackey once they got the lead. They just kept running away.
Yeah, they were more prepared. They made better in-game adjustments, and that's all coaching.
Yes. Okay. If it makes you feel better, I will give you,
Well, I can tell you this.
Day,
What I watched,
I thought the players had to respond to the coaching, and I thought that was more significant in this game than the coaching gave to the game. That's all I'm saying. They had to have both, Mike. They had to have both.
Well, no shit, Steve. You can't have both without having the
other. You can have both without. Yeah, you can.
Oh, you can. Okay. That makes no fucking sense. But
okay.
All right. So when we look at this, my thing is this. When you watch the out-of-bounds plays Indiana ran in the second half, or coming out of a timeout, the plays they ran, it seemed to me they scored almost every time out of a timeout, and Purdue did not. A lot of that is coaching. I think that IU's sets and those are very good. I think IU's offense looked as good as it has all season. And the offense ran like it always does. Purdue took Trace Jackson Davis away. Indiana had a plan B. Purdue took Trace Jackson Davis away, but they had no plan B for Jalen Hood-Schifino or for Trey Galloway. And, I mean, I don't understand where you think that Schifino shot the ball too much. In the second half, I didn't think he shot a whole lot.
I didn't say he shot the ball too much.
You said that he had the ball 95% of the time, like it was a bad thing.
He did, Mike. He controlled.
He's the point guard.
Down court. Yeah, he played the role of a point guard. You've said all along, we don't have a true point guard on Indiana's team.
We didn't.
So he played. I saw Trace Jackson Davis bringing the ball down in the second half.
He brought it down twice.
Okay, well, I'm glad you're keeping that stat. I didn't count how many times. It visualizes in my mind right now. There's no negativity here. I'm not knocking Indiana. They played great. They did everything they needed to do. They played great basketball. Everything worked for them today. Everything. They did the things that I've harped on about the 3-point shooting. I was thrilled to see that. That means something to me because I think that's a tool they're going to have from here on out.
That is mind-blowing to me. What if they'd have been 7 for 8? Would they have not shot enough?
Well, given the fact that Schifino's jumping in 35 from anywhere he wants to, it would have been fine.
Because I'm pretty sure
7 of 8. They went 7 of 15.
I'm telling you this. They were 7 of 15 because Schifino was scoring and people were leaving to help on him. It is part of the offense. Miller Kopp and Trey Galloway are 2 of the best 3-point shooters in the country.
I saw Schifino score with people hanging all over him.
I know. And eventually in the second half, he only scored 9 points because then he started dishing the ball to Kopp and Galloway, who were
right. And Trace, because Trace came up with 10 points in the last 11 minutes of the game.
Yeah, and we look, the 2 big stats that make you think, if you looked at these stats, you may even think IU lost if it wasn't for the fact that Purdue shot 21% from 3-point range. But free throws, 22 for 33 for Purdue. That's 11 misses. They had a lot more attempts than IU. IU was 10 for 12, 83%, which is great. Total rebounds, Indiana got out-rebounded 46-30. But I think the key here is the second half. I think the rebounding was relatively even.
I thought, we elevated our game big time coming out of the halftime, and maybe Mike said something better than Matt did. I don't know because I was not in either locker room. So, TJ, this is not a knock on the game. We're not arguing about it. We're just showing people all aspects of it. We are enjoying this, TJ. There's nobody more thrilled about this than the two of us. Trust me, because we do this because we're fans and because we study the games and watch them, and we are willing to voice our opinions, TJ. So we're enjoying this, but it's okay to discuss it too.
This is how we enjoy things, isn't it?
Exactly, TJ. This is just how Mike and I, enjoy things. He's a dumbass, and he's going to call me a dumbass.
I'm not a dumbass.
Love calling
I'm far from a dumbass. You're a dumbass, but all right.
Okay. A couple other things here, Mike. Okay. One, let's talk just briefly something near and dear to your heart: refereeing. Okay, look, I'll just give you this scenario for you to rant on. I thought the refereeing was shitty, but I thought it was equally shitty.
Which means it was a well-reffed game for the Big
Go
Ten.
ahead.
As long as the officials are shitty for both teams, you really can't complain because that's about as good as it's ever going to get in the Big Ten.
Are we in agreement it was shitty for both teams?
Which means it's good.
Okay, but I saw as many.
But I can also tell you this
for Purdue as I did Indiana.
Hey, I can also tell you this though. It will also prove this: if you play well, you can make it so it doesn't matter if the officiating is shitty or not.
Yeah, and I think that happened yesterday.
Yeah,
I think that's a very poignant comment you just made. See, TJ, we're not arguing about everything. We totally agree. The refereeing, they made it so bad it was okay because it was equally directed toward both teams. It just was a shittily officiated ball game, but it was done with equal flair on both sides. Okay, so we're in agreement there.
Yeah, and I think the big key here was the second half defensive numbers. When I look at this, for Indiana, it was impressive. Purdue was 10 for 33 from the field in the second half. Zach Edey had 13 second half points, but needed 9 field goal attempts and 6 free throw attempts to get there. There was also a point where Edey was like a 75% free throw shooter.
Yeah,
missed like 2 in a row or 3 in a row.
Edey was a little frustrated.
Yeah, his final stat line, 26-16, is still impressive.
Right.
But, I mean, for him to be a top 5 or 10 team, he's probably got to score 35 and get 18 rebounds and 5 assists. Because to me, when I look at Purdue, they're not as good as Indiana. They may win the Big Ten, but I would bet almost anything Indiana goes farther in the tournament than Purdue because Purdue is rolling with a couple point guards that, to me, have not shown a lot of progression. They have actually, and Purdue as a team has regressed over the last month of this season. And we saw it from the Northwestern loss that lost to Indiana. They've got to go to Wisconsin. Wisconsin could beat them. I'm not going to hold my breath because Wisconsin sucks. But if they do, they then have to go home and play Illinois. The Big Ten's still in play for Indiana. But overall, I mean, defensively, the pressure Indiana put on them in the second half, I thought was really good. Once again, we never get 2 halves at once, but I'm not going to complain too much because they played almost perfect in the second half last night. Right. Yeah. And Trey still had damn near a triple-double, and he wasn't very good last night.
I know, yeah, he had 10 points, 8 rebounds, yeah. Damn near made it without having
and I'll tell you, the play –
no first half at all.
Hey, the play, Steve, that made me think the game was over is when Trey Galloway went over and tried to dunk it over 7'4" at Edey. He didn't make it. But just a statement to do that showed the kind of balls this team has compared to other teams. And I will give you a comparison. I'll give you, and I'm not saying this is 1981 and they're going to win it all. 1980. I know you were there. I don't know if you remember or not. Long time ago. Indiana against Kentucky. You remember Kentucky had Sam Bowie, who was like 7'1" or 7'2".
Mm-hmm.
And Isaiah in his freshman year in 80. Actually, I can't remember if I think the game was at IU at Assembly Hall, but there was a point in that game where Isaiah took the ball and just went over top of Bowie and dunked the ball. And IU kind of ran away with the game. It was either 80 or 81, one of those 2 games.
Yeah.
But when you've got a guy that will challenge a dude that's supposed to be the Big Ten Player of the Year, the National Player of the Year, Trey Galloway almost looks like a psycho when he's playing. And that's why I love Trey Galloway, because that dude is a 6'4" guard who got after it. He made 3 or 4 3-pointers. He dished out 5 assists. He pulled down 5 rebounds. He had a steal. He played 38 minutes. Guys like Trey Galloway and Miller Kopp, in the end, are going to decide how far this team goes, because you got to figure most nights either Hood Shafino or Trace is going to be on. If one of these other 2 guys, Galloway or Kopp, or if both are on, this becomes a very hard team to beat.
Agreed. Yeah, I think that bore out last night. Both Galloway and Kopp were both on, and I agree with your assessment of Galloway entirely. He's a Tasmanian devil. Guy plays at 150% all the time, and I love that in him. And that's something we haven't seen on an Indiana basketball team in a long time. A kid who just goes out there and plays that hard
Yeah.
with him every minute he's on the court.
Well, how about this, Steve? We might have seen it in the past, but we haven't seen it where it's more than one guy. And last night we saw a bunch of guys play that hard.
Yeah,
You know,
I thought Kopp was
Shafino.
aggressive.
I thought Trace played hard. I mean, Trace had to guard Edey, and I'll say this:
and stay out of foul trouble.
And we could say why put him on him, but the production between this game and the game in Bloomington, I mean, 10 less points. 5 or 6 less assists. So it did have an effect there. So it took away from Trace's defense or offense, but everybody else stepped up. Robert Stewart says, best guard play of the year, 2 more. Go get him, Hoosiers. TJ Rich, another comment. Purdue's offense last night reminded me of IU's offense last year. Get the ball to Edey in the post and just watch him. IU used to do that. IU did that a week ago. I mean,
I'll tell you what, that offense works too. Hey, if you got Edey on your team, you
it didn't work last night, but
it normally works. Same as we've done with Trace all year.
Yeah,
I've said all along, if Trace doesn't touch the ball 70% of the time, Indiana's offense is faltering, and that doesn't mean he's got to shoot the ball 70% of the time. It means he has to touch the ball. Ball's got to go through him. That's how our offense is designed. Last night he was not able to score, but he did a lot of other things, as you eloquently pointed out. Same with Edey. If you're not getting the ball in Edey's hands 70% of the time you're coming down court, you're not running your offense at the highest efficiency. TJ, any idiot Purdue fan can even figure that out. So that being said, Mike, let's just shift gears a little bit. You kind of addressed and touched on it. Can Indiana win a share of the Big Ten league play? Can they do it?
I'm sure they can, but because it would take. I mean, I don't have a whole lot of trust in Wisconsin. Now, Purdue is playing poorly right now.
They are. This is typical for Purdue, though.
But Wisconsin's playing even worse.
Yeah.
And then they play Illinois, which Illinois is a really talented team. I really find it hard to believe they're going to lose both. I think we'll take care of Iowa. I think we take care of Michigan. At the start of the year, I would have taken 23-9 or 22-9. The big question here is, I think the shot of where, because also we need Northwestern losses also. But I think the big thing in here is yesterday's win greatly boosts our tournament resume #1 and the Big Ten tournament seeding process, because the victory improves the Hoosiers to 11-7. Sole possession of 3rd place in the Big Ten with 2 games left in the season.
Let me be blunt about and ask you this question. Does this get us back into the top 16 in the Ken Pong ratings?
I think we're definitely. I think this, Steve. I think right now.
Address that.
If you win out the next 2 games against Iowa and Michigan, and you're 23-9, you're 13-7 in the Big Ten. You go to, and especially if you get the double bye, because the double bye right now, Purdue's there, but if we jump ahead of Northwestern, we get a double bye. That puts us all the way into the quarterfinals. Yeah. You get a win there. And just go to the semis and lose. I think then your position where, according to how every other conference plays out, Indiana's a 3 or a 4 seed. And if you were to go through and win the Big Ten tournament, then you're looking at a 2 or a 3 seed.
What does this give us now, Mike? Does this give us 6 or 7 quad 1 wins? I think 7, isn't it, off the top of your head?
I know this is not even off the top of my head. I just know that they have 2 wins over Purdue.
They have 2 top 5 quad 1 wins. And we've had like 3 or 4 quad 1 wins in the last 5 or 6 games of the season here.
Yeah, and I mean, I know you've already got the quad 1 win over Xavier. North Carolina beat Virginia yesterday. They may put it back into where that's a quad 1. So there's a lot of things that can happen here. But I think right now you're looking at worst case scenario. They lose 2 here. They lose 1 in the Big Ten tournament. They're an 8 or a 9 seed. Best case scenario, you win the Big Ten tournament. You're a 2 or a 3. If they win a game in the Big Ten tournament, you're a 3 or a 4. So, and the way this season is gone, there's no dominant team. I mean, Alabama looks like the best team, but they've got issues right now with their coach and one moronic player who gave his gun to somebody or gave the gun back to the guy so he could go kill somebody. So that's going to be an issue. This tournament is wide open. And if you get the proper draw, and we've seen this multiple tournaments in the past, if you just have, say, Houston is the number 1 seed and you're a 3 or a 4, and they get upset, you don't have to play Houston them anymore.
I'll take on Houston. They're beatable.
They're pretty
Indiana can match up with Houston. I think I don't think beat them.
Houston has been to the Final Four in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they're legit. Kelvin Sampson, no matter how much everybody hates him as an IU fan, he's a damn good basketball coach. But really, there's no team I look in here and say, we can't beat that team. Balin Gardner says, good afternoon, gentlemen. How you doing, Balin? Thanks for listening.
I don't know if he's leaving or coming or going, but hello, Balin.
Yeah. So do we want to preview the rest of the week and a show tomorrow night live at 7:00 or?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm having
I may not be able to do it right now. 7 now.
I say this, Mike, if we're wrapping up right now, to me, and let's finish off with this. And you brought it up. I think the most important thing for us to do now is to get a hold of that double bye in the Big Ten tournament. I think we need rest. And the fewer games we can play to get ourselves. Michael Joseph, why don't you show Mike? Because you don't make any comments worth showing you.
I don't see any comments. Oh,
yeah,
there it is. Coach Shafino was on fire. That dude can flat out play. It's great to have a Cincinnati Bearcat fan in here.
Anyway,
TJ,
back to my.
Wait a second. TJ's an intelligent listener, so we'll go ahead and bring up his comment. Always fun listening to you guys. Go IU. And then he sent me a private message. That Joe Spillman guy's a dumbass. But go ahead.
Yeah, I got the same message about Joe Spillman.
Yeah, if I'm 15.
And you know what? I gotta do a NASCAR show with him later on today. Oh boy, is that gonna be fun!
Hey, you know what? He made fun of you because you predicted it was not going to rain in Fontana today.
Right now, I'm looking out my window. Sunny skies, white puffy clouds, beautiful snow-capped mountains. Oh, purple mountains, majesty above the fruited plain. You know, it's gorgeous out here in California again. Cold as hell, but gorgeous.
Balin has another comment.
Anyway, Mike, do you agree?
Balin, out of Scottsburg, Indiana, says, I enjoy listening to your input and the truth. Thanks, Balin.
How do you guys feel about Dan Dockage?
Who asked that?
I did.
Oh, he's an asshole.
If he's from Scottsburg, then isn't that where he got in trouble? Starting mouthing off about somebody in Scottsburg?
I think Dan Dockage gets in trouble everywhere.
Every time he opens his mouth, yeah. Anyway, do we come to agree that double bye is looming large for Indiana, just to give him some rest?
It is. And Joe says, shut the hell up, Steve. I fight you right now. He only says that because he's like 3,000 miles away.
Yeah.
And then look at this. He says, you don't have to do it, Steve, since it's going to be so fun. Well, you know what, Joe? Steve predicted there would be a race today and there would be no rain. He was right.
Yeah.
So make sure you check him out on Stuck in the Catchfish tonight after the show if you want to see Steve Risley's very highly intelligent NASCAR show.
Yep. I carry these
Dude,
guys.
Is that an oxymoron, a highly intelligent NASCAR show? All right, guys, right now, find the best place to bet for you. Betting.net offers expert user reviews for every online sportsbook casino in your state. Right now, I would like to apologize to you and Joe. It's just, it was going to be so easy to go ahead and use the word oxymoron. And I don't know that I've ever used it on a show before. So I did. Balin says, yeah, but Scottsburg athletics is corrupt. I'll stand by Dan on that. And I played sports at Scottsburg in my day. Here's a story. Scottsburg, I believe I went to South Dearborn, and I believe in 1983 or 84, Scottsburg got upset by South Dearborn in their girls' Sweet 16 and advanced to the Elite 8, but lost to Crown Point by 2 points.
Mike, I believe I stopped in Scottsburg one time at the truck stop and took a piss on the way to Louisville. That's about my stay in Scottsburg.
My Scottsburg story was much better than yours.
It's much better than mine.
Yes, because I remember listening.
I don't have any problem with Scottsburg. I love Scottsburg, Indiana.
That's what the Indiana high school basketball tournament meant something. I can't remember if they played Scottsburg or Austin. I don't remember which one.
All right, we have suffered a damaging tangent here, and But that's what our fans do to us. They get us involved. We're happy. This was a win I did not expect. I know I harped that I didn't think Indiana could win this game. You stood by the Hoosiers and thought they could.
Hey, I
Egg
picked
on my
him.
face.
I picked him, and on my betting article, I
You
told him
did.
to bet him at plus 270. So if you bet 100, you won 270.
Yeah, and I did not think they could go to West Lafayette and win up there, knowing that we had beaten them in Bloomington. But they not only won the game, they just flat out outplayed Purdue.
Yeah.
They just didn't win that game by a score.
Because didn't you feel like it
Purdue
at like the 10 or 11 minute mark when it was like sitting like between 10 and 13 point lead, Purdue would come down and get it open three, and then you kind of think, oh, they're going to hit this one, and then they'll get hot, and then it just kept rimming out, and the next thing you know, it's still 10 with 2 minutes left. And I just like to say this: we're getting ready to play Fran McCafferty. He's a douchebag, and we need to kick his ass because I'll tell you what, he looked like a 4-year-old at the store, that wanted like a Twix bar or something. Mom and Dad wouldn't get it for him, so he just stood there with his arms folded and stared down the ref. I think it'd have been funny if the ref would have just looked at it, gave him a tee, and kicked his ass out of the game, or better yet, just walk up and smack him in the mouth because Fran McCafferty is nothing but a coward anyways. The way he screams at everybody, he's a fool. His kid's a fool. The entire program at Iowa, I think, is a bunch of fools. What do you think, Steve?
I agree. I agree. I was thinking of a funny story.
There you go. Hey, Scottsburg Balin says Farmer Fran can pound salt.
And sand.
Or pound sand.
Okay. I think what does Indiana need to keep focused on? Let's wrap this up. We're at 31 minutes. We'll come back tomorrow with a preview. Let's tell everybody we're going to talk about what Indiana needs to do from here to maintain this momentum.
Yeah. And we're going to look at where they sit in the AP poll. We're going to look at where they sit.
We'll have that information.
Wins,
Ken Pong. We'll try and look at Ken Pong tomorrow during the day, and because they'll have the new Big Ten rankings out tomorrow.
Well, the show may have to be during the day, so everybody's going to keep an eye out. I may not be able to do 7. We may have to do it during the day. I'm not sure yet, but because I got the signing for my football players tomorrow, so I may not be able to do 7, but we might do earlier. We'll see how it goes. So we will tweet that out. You can also follow us on Facebook. Go ahead, Steve.
I've got the signing to our new house next door to Brad Pitt's. So,
and Brad Pitt's a communist. Who gives a shit?
My wife's happy though.
Yeah. Well, he's probably gonna have a bunch of Chinese.
She's gonna borrow sugar. She's gonna go over and borrow sugar and milk from Brad Pitt.
Why?
I don't know.
He's a dumbass. All right, your top.
Borrow sugar and water from Brad Pitt.
Your top sportsbook comparison site, betting.net, offers extensive reviews on the best sportsbooks out there. And also, Steve, I know you've been wanting to play social casinos, so you should sign up with stake.us and use our exclusive promo code at the Grueling
Isn't it illegal in California?
Of TGT Social to secure your unique 5% rake back bonus. No, the great thing, I'm glad you asked that, Steve. The great thing about social casinos is this. You're not playing with, you can't win real money, and you can have fun. I think 47 of the 50 states in the union, you're allowed to play at social casinos.
Mike, if that's the case, I'll just play Monopoly.
Well, it's kind of the same thing, Steve. You should sign up. You get an exclusive 5%.
You know that
bonus.
They have a Yellowstone version of Monopoly now.
They got it like the Cincinnati Bengals. They got everything version of Monopoly. Unfortunately, nobody plays Monopoly anymore.
I don't. We have a Monopoly game too. I think it's still wrapped in plastic.
Hope you're hanging in there, California Steve. Oh,
California. Hey, I agree, Balin. I agree. It is a very unique state, no doubt.
It shouldn't even be a state.
It shouldn't be a state. It should be in the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, where it should be.
Until you moved there, I was hoping it would end up at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean.
Trust me, I've got my truck packed, and I can be in Nevada.
If it just drops off, though, you're fucked. I mean, there's no way you're getting out of there in time.
Well, I don't think the world's going to miss me. So,
yeah, they would. I wouldn't have anybody do the Indiana.
All right, wrap it up. Come on, we're going to lose our friends.
Hold on, we're not, because our numbers have actually doubled in the last 5 minutes. I've got family there, Steve. I feel you. LOL.
It is there's no basketball out here either. That's the sad part. UCLA and USC suck.
UCLA is ranked like third in the country.
I mean, trust me, everybody should welcome UCLA and USC into the Big Ten because it's 2 automatic wins. They suck as programs. I've been to practice at both schools.
UCLA ranks pretty high right now, Steve.
Oh, it's because they're cream of the crop. There's nobody out here to even. It's a West Coast school. They want West Coast television, so they're going to artificially flavor UCLA. They're not that good. I've been to their practice.
When? Not this year. You haven't.
No, not this year.
Well, how about this, Steve? They beat Maryland 87-60. They beat Kentucky 63-53.
Okay, you're talking about 2 programs that suck.
Maryland does, because Maryland whipped our ass at Maryland. They beat Maryland at Maryland by 27.
All right, Balaam. I love Bill Walton. I think he's just a hoot.
Bill Walton's a communist.
Oh, would you love to see a game called by Bill Walton and Charles Barkley?
No.
I think it'd be funny.
I don't. It'd just
and I'd throw in a Stephen A. Smith in there too.
No. He didn't know anything about
done
basketball.
by those 3 guys.
Stephen A. Smith's a dumbass.
And you could have Clark Kellogg moderate the whole thing.
Yeah, Stephen A. Smith. You know what I would like to see? I would like to see Stephen A. Smith go be the assistant coach for Juwan Howard at Michigan. And then they can play Farmer Fran. And then Juwan could, punch Farmer Fran in the head. He would rather,
ladies and gentlemen,
Dan Dockage call a game over Bill Walton. Just
Elvis
go with it,
has
Steve.
left the building.
Steve, our numbers are way up right now. So if you got anything to get off your chest, this is a good time.
No, I'm watching Live Golf. You want to talk Live Golf?
What the hell is Live
Golf? That's the Saudi-backed golf league.
No, I don't support the Saudis.
The one committing atrocities on the world. And
I know, but they get all the big sporting events because they just throw money and everybody just grabs it like a whore, like the NBA and China.
Money makes the world go around.
Actually, it doesn't.
Ask the nil players now.
Ask
Alabama about nil money and how important it is to their football and basketball programs.
Well, they
should. All right, the guy brought a gun into aiding a bet of shooting and killing of a college co-ed. But we'll let him go in and start the game and score 30 points.
Dude, did you see the introduction of him at that game?
Were they frisk him?
Yeah.
That's classy.
It was. And then they asked the head coach about it. They asked the coach about it. He's like, I didn't even know that happened. Yeah, just like John Wooden didn't know Sam Gilbert was buying him all his players. Yeah. It's all bullshit.
You see Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or Lou Alcindor driving around in the Lincoln Continental. Oh, I don't know where he got the car from. I thought his parents were wealthy. Okay.
And you get all the best players from New York to UCLA in the 1960s. But hey, you know what? John Wooden's a dumbass too. Bobby Knight would have owned his ass. Just take it in 1973 without a bad call. Bobby Knight would have beat him then. And if Scott May doesn't get hurt in 1975,
I got a NASCAR race to prepare for.
John Wooden's last game would have been getting his ass kicked by Bobby Knight.
I can't let Joe outsmart me now in the NASCAR show.
Oh, I don't think either one of you can outsmart anybody. So you both should be safe there.
I'm in agreement with you, Joe.
All right. So
if
you want more Steve Risley and Joe Spillman, check them out on Stuck at the Catfish.
And Ryan Peters.
Yeah, whatever. Stuck in the cat. I never can remember his last name, so I don't like to say it because I usually screw it up.
I hope it's Peters.
And then Joe is like, "You what?
You what?
Did you say you like Peters?"
No, I did not say that.
All right.
I like Ryan.
I almost caught you. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead. We're going to wrap it up. Make sure you check us out on Indiana Basketball Weekly tomorrow at some point. And then we will have a post game for Iowa and a pregame for Michigan and a post game for Michigan. And then, Steve, we're going to have to get Joe on here and maybe Dan to do the NCAA tournament selection show that Sunday night. It'll be next Sunday night already. It's March Madness, and we have you covered here, no matter who you
I'll leave a little anecdote for you guys. Everybody's listening still to us. I apologize for our diverse tangents. This is the time of the year when Mike or Coach Knight would always just say, look, we've been putting money into the bank all year long. And right now, starting this week, going in, and of course we didn't have the Big Ten tournament in my day, but we were in the last couple games of the regular season and waiting on Selection Sunday. And Knight would always say this is the time to start pulling dividends out of the bank. So we need to really think about having fun now. I think Indiana had fun. It's the start of their fun season yesterday. This team should be elevated itself, and the biggest thing this team needs to do is be able to carry forward what they did yesterday. Carry it forward now. Don't play to your opponents. Play to your potential. And if Indiana plays to its potential, I think they're poised to make a run. Maybe even the Sweet 16.
National champions.
No, I think a run into the Sweet 16 would be a very good get for Indiana this year.
Dude, they could go farther.
I think they can, but a good get would be the Sweet 16. That helps your recruiting a ton. I think Mike is a fabulous recruiter. I think that's why Indiana has shown the success in 2 years they have, is more than his coaching is his recruiting. And I'm not knocking Mike's coaching. I'm saying he's learning as a coach. He's there as a recruiter. He's got a great recruiting staff on with him. And this team's going to just continue to explode back into relevance, and that's what we wanted for Indiana basketball. So bully to Mike for bringing that, and our AD. I can't think of our AD's name. Darn it.
That guy.
I know. It's just off
Nobody
to him.
cares.
He's a very nice guy.
I'm sure
Takes
he's
care
awesome.
of me every time I come to a game, which is never anymore.
You said he didn't even give you tickets this year.
I didn't go to any games.
Well, I'd have went, but you told me you didn't get an offer for tickets.
Well, I can't give them to. Well, you're not a friend. I can't give them to acquaintances. I quit watching NASCAR after Tony Stewart left. I only watched Tony dirt track race. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I miss Tony too. He was the last great character in NASCAR. Scott Dawson. There you go. Thank you.
I can't believe you didn't remember that. I did. I just didn't want to make you look bad.
I was saying Scott's name last night because he was bringing a towel to Mike because Mike was sweating from his great coaching in the game. So, and Scott brought him a towel. Oh.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap this shit show up. Make sure you check us out tomorrow where we talk more Indiana basketball because the Indiana Hoosiers have swept Purdue. They whipped their ass in Mackey, and there's no more boiler up, Steve. It's boiler down.
I'm spending the rest of my day texting all my Purdue fans.
You don't have any Purdue fans.
You
mean friends?
I mean, including Mitch Daniels, who I used to work with.
Fuck
who
him.
is the president of Purdue University. He
like
will get a text from me today.
Well, let's have him on the show. We'll talk shit to him.
Now we could do that. I'll bet Mitch would come on. He won't now. He would have yesterday or the day before, but I don't think he'll come now.
Well, I love Mitch Daniels. You should have him on.
I like Mitch Daniels too.
Hey, also, go Lady Hoosiers. Indiana ranked
Definitely.
second. Played the 6th-ranked Iowa Hawkeyes today, too.
Can you believe we're selling out Assembly Hall? And I know tickets are $1.
Dude, to tell you the truth, in the 80s.
Selling out Assembly Hall for chick
Steve,
hoops?
in the 80s and 90s, I didn't even realize we had a girls' basketball team.
I know. I played there and I didn't know we had a girls' team. Now they're selling out a.
So how about this? Why don't we just celebrate this by they both win a national championship in the same year?
I think it'd be great.
It could happen.
Because that's the only thing Purdue has that we don't have is a Chick Hoops national title.
Don't call it a Chick Hoops national title.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Trouble. Nobody cares who wins the girls' basketball championship anyways.
But I do. Cool I do if Indiana does.
Well, yeah, but other than that, I wouldn't care.
That's great. Go Lady Hoosiers.
All right. Let's get off here and we'll go watch the Lady Hoosiers against Iowa. I think it's on at 2 today, isn't it?
I don't know. I got to watch the NASCAR race.
Oh, God. All right, guys. We're going to wrap it up. So Steve's going to go get caught in a catch fence. I'm going to go probably take a nap because I'm getting older and I've been up since 5 this morning, so I'm getting tired. But we'll be back tomorrow with the Indiana Basketball Show. Make sure you check us out on Twitter at Grueling Truth. Make sure you check out betting.net. Go like and subscribe to us on YouTube. Check out our top recommended site to bet on the Indiana-Iowa game on Tuesday, which is BetMGM. But for now, for Steve Risley, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been watching and listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.